going to keep it going.
Let's go.
Let's do it.
Good morning.
You're welcome, everybody. I prompted Ginny to continue her dance, so you guys see it too. You guys don't see it, do you? You two?
No.
When the countdown comes on, I can still see all three of our videos, but y'all can't. And Ginny was really putting on the moves today. Good morning.
Good morning.
You got to fake it till you make it.
Off screen. She's only fun on screen.
Are you going to make it in the dancing industry?
No, I'm not.
It is a great way to start a morning. We lost Ginny. Oh.
All right. Well, let's say good morning.
Good morning, Garrison.
Good morning, Ginny.
Good morning, Ginny.
We're sitting right next to her.
Well, we were. Not sure where she's at. Oh, she said good morning twice on there. Good morning, Adam.
Yes. Well,
and I'm going to say good morning to Paul, too, since we didn't actually say good morning to Paul.
Yes. Good morning, Paul. This is a great way.
It is.
I don't know if it was because you two are here or because Ginny was dancing, but let's do it.
I'll let Ginny have the credit. I will let her have the credit.
So today we're going to talk about money. Show me the money. The title was, Where's My Profit? And I don't know how many of you out there started this because you thought it was a profitable thing to own your own business and it'd be easy and you'll run calls and do the same thing you were doing somewhere else and you get to keep all the money and everything's great. Sometimes that works, and if you really know what you're doing, it can be. Okay. It can be a very profitable thing to do, to run a service business or run your own business in general. But it's never easy, I don't think. Right. And you really have to do the right things to get to that profitable level where you actually have money that you get to enjoy. And we're going to talk a bit about why it's important to have profit and then what goes into your profit and what affects it. And we're going to try not to go an hour this time. The girls are on me. I like to talk. So we're going to try not to do that.
Okay.
But I'm going to read a little bit of the scripture and then Shayna can do the prayer. Deal?
Okay. Yes.
Again, I'm using the Prayers and Promises for Leaders book that I found in an airport. It's pretty good stuff so far. Today is about the reward. It says Colossians 3:23-24. Work willingly at whatever you do as though you were working for the Lord rather than for people. Remember that the Lord will give you an inheritance as your reward. And then I have even if you suffer for doing what is right, God will reward you for it. That's 1 Peter 3:14. And got something I want to say about that in a minute, but the thought for the day is, Lord, rewards are highly motivating, and it is exciting to consider how great your promised reward is. I want my work to be pleasing to you rather than pleasing to others. Help me to love my enemies and be kind to everyone, whether they agree with me or not, and regardless of their faith, morality, or lack thereof. I delight in the knowledge of my inheritance from you. And then the question is, how encouraging is the promise of an eternal reward in times of suffering? Sometimes we forget what we're doing it for, who we're actually doing it for. So we talk a lot about service, and I want to get into that a little bit when we talk about the purpose of profit and why it's important. But I was just doing my core values, updating core values for our team, because we've been doing this in our book club with the book Elevate. And one of them was integrity. And it really got me because I made this last night and I found this verse today. It says, always honest and do the right thing, even if it hurts. And sometimes doing the right thing does hurt, like when you have to give a free service or give them a refund. I bought a couple of refrigerators because of mistakes I made early on. And it really does hurt. But I rest in the fact that I'm doing the right thing and serving his people the way I would serve him or anybody else I love. So that's what I got for that moment. If you want to add anything or do the prayer.
Now let's just do the prayer. Let's get into it. Father God, I thank you for this day, and I thank you for the glorious weather that we are having here, and I thank you for the breath that you gave us as we got out of bed this morning. I give you the praise and the glory that you have allowed us to come together, that you have allowed us to be able to spend this time not only looking at you, but also looking at our business. And I pray, Father, that you just give EJ and I and Jenny, if she comes back in, the words that we need in order to really show people and help people and guide people in their pathway, not only with you, but also with their business. In the name of Jesus, amen.
Amen. We have G Money, the man, Gasper, checking in. I think he's talking about all the people that are watching with him.
I think
Smartest
so.
people in this. Colossians 3:23 is his life verse. That's the one. Do whatever you do for the Lord. And so we'll get into it real quick. So we was talking this morning in our tech team meeting, me and Andrew and and Terry. I'm gonna get everybody in the right seat. Welcome back, Jenny.
Thank you.
Come back.
Sorry about that technical issue. I'm back.
Andrew was mentioning, by the way, he's on his way out today to Scotland on a mission trip. And we had a special morning call, even though he's off, so we can pray for him and his group that are going for traveling mercies, and that the Lord would be with them, right? And he was sharing with us how he enjoys doing this work because he gets to help people. And he said he really seems to have a heart for the widows. And we all do, all three of us. He had shared that he had like 6 widows in the last 2 weeks that really connected with. And, you know, he ended up praying with some of them and really helping them and pouring his heart into the service, right? And I wanted to celebrate that as we're talking about culture and core values in our book club. And I wanted to celebrate that. And sometimes I talk a lot about KPIs and metrics and dollars. And today we're talking about profit and where it comes from and why you may not know where it is. Sometimes it can feel like all you're talking about is money and it's greed, right? And I wanted to take that moment to, 1, celebrate him and his heart of service, but 2, remind them that that's why we care about the other stuff. We're in this business to serve God's people in the best way that we can. I started EJ's Appliance Repair personally out of a need for professional, reliable service in my area. I was just doing it on the side, you know, I wasn't even in appliance repair. I just started helping people, and I got energy from the people being grateful for somebody actually taking care of them. And you know, it fed me, and I found joy in helping others. But I can't do that if I'm not in a space where I can do that. So Jenny, you as mentioning the Dave Ramsey quote the other day, wasn't you? Maybe it wasn't you. I'm gonna say it then. We live like no one else now. This is while you're getting out of debt.
Yep.
So that
We can give like no one else.
live and give like no one else, right? And there's two parts of that, right? Live and give. Live is kind of the your reward personally, and the giving is your gift back to God and His people for the rewards that you have, right? So we want to give in service, and when we do that, God rewards us openly with the blessings of our business, right? It doesn't mean everything's great. You still got to do your part, but the service side matters. Right, Shayna?
Yes, 100%.
That's how your business started too, right?
Yeah. So, and you're talking about my office help as far as that business, right? Yeah, and it really truly was about, in this case, was really truly helping not only with the phones, but also helping these companies be able to see what they're doing and how they're doing it and how they can improve. 100%. It's, if you don't know those things, you're just going to just keep on going, and that's fine if you're doing okay and you don't care. Plenty of owners don't. But if you actually truly want to know how to make a difference, you have to be looking at those numbers.
Yeah, I feel like it's such a privilege as a business owner to have the opportunity to let somebody else provide for their family. So you're creating jobs, which is really important as a business owner, but more than just creating jobs, the better your business does, the better they're doing and the better they can provide for their families. So it really reaches much further than just your own family and trying to build up your pocketbook or whatever. So that feels really good to try, as EJ uses the word elevate a lot, to just elevate the people around you too.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't know your financials, you can't. So I love this topic.
So thank you guys for sharing that too and backing me up on that, because a lot of people struggle to talk about profit, and some people feel guilty for having profit, and some people, that's all they want is profit. And if your heart's not in the right place, another thing that Dave Ramsey says, and I think several people say it, but more money just makes you more of who you already are.
Mm-hmm.
If you're in a hateful, dishonest, greedy person, and you have nothing, adding a couple $1 million is just going to inflame that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you're a great person that just loves serving people, and then you add a few $1 million to that, imagine how much more you can do with that heart. And that's really what this is all about. So with that aside, now that we don't feel bad about profit and we know why we're doing it, let's talk about how to get more of it. There is a common equation for profit. What is that you guys know?
I mean, the simplest way to explain it would be your revenue minus your expenses.
That's correct.
Would be your profit.
I wasn't sure where you were going there, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel like this is a trick question. Got it.
No tricks, no tricks. So there's two parts to this equation. You got incoming money and outgoing money. And the difference is your profit. Now, if you subscribe to the profit first ideal, they flip that script. And how's that one go, Shayna?
Oh boy. Pop quiz.
I don't know. I've not read that book in 12 years.
Income minus profit equals expenses. So it's planning for the profit.
Yes. Yeah.
And spending accordingly. So a lot of people think about profit on one side. They either think, well, I need to make as much money as I can or spend as little as I can. And honestly, it's both, right? But when
Right.
you're trying to find profit, most people only look at the income. Like this is
Now,
all I. This is how much I need to spend. So I must need to make more. Go ahead,
I
Jen.
wanted to just you, and I'm sure you're going to go into more detail about this later, but one of the little slippery slopes is all of the reporting that if many of us have some type of financial software and you can pool the different kinds of reports in there. So if you're pooling your profit and loss statement and you're looking at your bottom line as your profit, that could trick you into thinking that you're actually making a profit when you're not, because the
Right.
cash flow statement will actually show you things that doesn't show you. So when you're looking at your income and your expenses, it's important to be aware that not all of those expenses are showing up on your profit and loss statement, and things like loans and owner's equity withdrawals and things like that might not show up on there. So just be careful when you're looking at your profit that you're really aware of what your real profit actually is.
Absolutely. So we're going to talk about expenses after income. So hold on to those thoughts because that's really good. And Shayna is a bookkeeper. So we're looking for a lot of input here from Shayna. So let's start with income metrics. What are some income metrics, some numbers that you're looking for to gauge how much money you're making in
Well, I
your
mean,
business?
if you're looking at specifically at income, you could lump most companies just lump all income together. But you also want to look at things like, for instance, refunds and how much of the refund, how much of your income is decreased due to refunds that you've given, and even going as much as dividing out, and so you can see what types of services that you're providing is actually making money. That's a huge one. Like for us, we divided out for electrical, we divided out rewires. We didn't want to look at that with service because it is a totally different type of number. And we also divided out commercial versus residential because commercial typically took longer, and a lot of times the equipment costs more. And so we would actually divide those out into different categories as well, because not all income is the same and it can't be measured the same either.
Mhm.
That's true. Now, Jenny's not a bookkeeper, but her brother is, and she has taught herself some bookkeeping.
I have, yeah, he's a financial advisor. So he's
Okay.
even like, he has a much bigger picture planning type outlook on finances.
So, what kind of things could you add to what Shayna said?
Um, I mean, his outlook, a lot of times he provides advice to business professionals when they are looking to either sell their business or acquire a business. So I think a lot of his kind of advice is more strategic planning and getting yourself into a really good financial position so that you might be appealing for somebody else to purchase, or looking at another company that you're looking to purchase to make sure their books are in order. So he would look for things like inconsistencies, improper reporting, things that are not categorized properly and not really reflective of the true picture going on and stuff like that.
So, what
I
kind
would
of, go ahead.
I was going to say another thing that he would look at whenever trying to do that is reoccurring income. And I
Yeah.
know maintenance plans is not a huge thing in the appliance industry, but EJ's trying to break through. It wasn't huge in the electrical industry, but we did.
Yeah,
Um, and reoccurring income is much more valuable than just a service call
Right.
now and then.
that's
Yeah. And then
true.
having all your huge, part of your financial statement and your reporting is also your assets. And those are things that aren't just money. So it might look somewhat good if you wanted to report the worth of all your parts. But if you're not selling them, then those are really like, they look like an asset, but they're not really, and everybody knows it. And if you're trying to sell your business and you have tons of money in parts just sitting there, that's not the best either. So looking at some of the tangible things that aren't just like actually cash value in your company, your vehicles, all of those things that are depreciating. There's so many things that comprise the worth of your company. And Dean teaches a class often about planning for selling your business. And, some of the things he talks about in there are that often we think our business is worth a lot more than it really is on the market. So if you're strategic on the front end, many years before you're ready to sell, that would be the best move to try to position yourself so that you're worth more.
Yeah. And everybody's got a different end goal, but to stay on the profit side, I want to piggyback on what Shayna was saying, breaking down where your income comes from. So you mentioned residential versus commercial, different types of jobs. In appliance repair, I like to run the report on which appliance. I haven't broke down commercial and residential because we almost primarily, like 99.8% of the time, we're residential. But I broke it down by zip codes and everything. But on the P&L, we could break down labor, parts, service plans, different things like that would help you understand where your profit comes from. And your CRM should have a capability. I know I'm on House Call Pro, and it does, where we can enter in the price of the service for us, our cost, and our cost of the part. And then it can break down gross profit for each of those categories. Now you could be using your P&L like that, but the P&L should be more of an overall view of it. You can break down some of the areas, but if you want to break down by appliance, for example, or zip code, you're going to use your reporting data for that. The P&L is more to help you understand where you're at generally, and kind of drill down to some of the trends that kind of get off track, right?
I think there's another form of looking at your numbers, and EJ, you do it. We did it with our electrical company, was looking at it by areas.
Yeah.
And so that was something that we started doing in 2005. And my whole point was to see where my spending dollars advertising. And I could even tell you exactly what the average ticket was in each of those counties as well. And that's huge. It was the very first time. And of course, when we started doing this, we were phone books, right? And the phone book lady came in and I laid out all three main counties. There was a couple of smaller counties around us, but all three main counties that we serviced. And I said, this one is not paying for this ad. She said, this is the very first time. And I don't know, she'd been working in that company for 10 years or so. Very first time in 10 years that she's ever had an owner pull out their profit and loss, their income, like I had, and say that. And she said, and you're right, we need to decrease this ad. So knowing, even Google, you're spending a lot of money over in certain areas. What is the average ticket in that area? Is it actually paying for themselves? What is our closing rate? That was another thing that we looked at by county. What was the closing rate? And there was one particular county, we had a much lower closing rate and we had a much lower average ticket than we did in these other two counties that we serviced.
That is actually great to lead into that. It kind of steps into the expense side, which a lot of people, we understand naturally where our money comes from. We don't always watch where it's going. And
Goes much faster.
yeah. that's really, I think, is the core issue with people not knowing where their profit is. You know, do you ever open up your P&L and see a bigger profit number than what you actually have in your bank account? You know, you feel like you're making a lot of money, and then you look in the bank account and it just doesn't translate. Where is it going? And you started to talk about acquisition cost. Yeah, and that's what we call it. You put money into marketing, and you hope that that marketing produces a call volume that you can convert from leads to completed jobs and sold jobs. One of the things we talk about is average ticket value. What is your average revenue per call? And a lot of people stop there, and you know, they talk about how much money they made and how much they average income on the ticket, but that gross profit is the income minus the initial cost, the labor,
Right.
the part price, the cost of the goods sold. It doesn't take into account your regular office overhead, the CSRs that you have, your taxes, your different subscriptions you have,
Travel.
tools, gas. You can build some of that into the cost of your labor or the service charge. But in general, it's just a gross profit. So if you're used to having a paycheck, you get your pay stub, you got a gross pay and a net pay. Net profit is your net pay. That's what you have left after all the other stuff. You get the top is where all the money comes in. And then you get that next section where Uncle Sam and all the others want all their money. The net is what you have left. So when you are marketing and advertising, Shayna mentioned the yellow book. We do Google ads. Ginny don't do anything but free marketing. They are a unicorn company. They don't really exist, but she's made it happen. But there's cost to what you do. And then if you're not producing an income to cover that cost, you're losing money. Or maybe you are just barely clearing that number. So that's a lot of things we can talk about just in the marketing and customer acquisition cost.
So just to touch a little bit on some of the ad spend that we don't do, we're still doing stuff. We're just not paying the primary platforms that people typically pay. So we invest our ad spend in supporting community events and showing up, like for trick or treat on the street, for example, in our community. We buy several $100s worth of Halloween candy, and we go there and we dress up, and we also hand out soap samples with our business cards stapled to it. So we're still investing in marketing efforts, but we're not paying the big mainstream companies to do it. We're just choosing a different avenue, but also it does decrease considerably what we're spending, but it takes our time. So it's a trade-off. You can fast track some of your reach by investing in the advertising, or you can be slow and methodical and invest your time in doing some of the outreach that we're doing. So it's just a different strategy. I don't look down on anybody that spends money on Google or Facebook. It's just a different strategy that we've been trying.
Do you feel that we look down on you for not doing advertising like the rest of us?
Well, I've heard feedback. I don't think you do. I've heard feedback. I've heard people be very skeptical about it and say, when you have a tech starving for calls, you will, don't worry. So I'm not too proud to say that if I need to at some point, you know, it's something that we would consider. It's not something we're against doing. It's just something we haven't incorporated into our very scrappy, fiscally frugal strategy that we did, you know, our bootstrap method of starting our business. So we have tried to avoid it as much as possible up until now.
Can I address Saul's question and then I have something to add on to there? He asked if we charged more for zip codes almost out of your coverage area. As for our company, we actually had two separate maps. We had an interior map. Our maps were circular. We're in a very rural area, so we can typically get to most of those areas in the same amount of time. It was with us being in the very center. And we charged $89 to go out. We were the highest for the longest time for electricians. In fact, we were the very first electricians to ever start charging to go out to a home in our area. But we did have an outer ring, and the outer ring was $179. One of the reasons we had the outer ring and we even service those is because um, in our area, with it being rural, there are areas that electricians won't go to. And what we actually found is the people that were willing to spend $179 for us to come out typically would also spend an additional two, three, four, five, $10,000 getting work done while they're there because they can't get electricians to ever get there. So,
That's interesting.
so it really truly worked with our area that we were in. I don't know if that would necessarily work quite as well in, and even how do you market for that in large cities. But if you're in a more rural area, we're not completely rural. Our county has 250,000 people in the entire county, so it is small-ish compared to a lot of places.
No,
And
that's
one of our
that's
one
really
of our
interesting.
counties one of our counties was on the National Poverty Watch list for a long time, and they may still be there. And actually, it's one of the three main counties that we serviced.
So you guys charged almost double for that, and you still had people willing to do it. And
Yeah.
my service map, Shayna.
Yep.
You may not have it memorized because I just changed it
No,
last.
I do because I use yours as a demo, and I don't like that it's easier to. It's not as good of an example anymore. EJ
Yeah,
made it more simple.
I'm trying to simplify, but you guys deal with a lot of companies, and some of them want you guys to ask, well, it's 2 miles outside of the service area that you've drawn. Will you take it? And some people are like, absolutely take it. I want every call. And I drive the hard line. Out of the service area means out of the service area. And now you've got me considering, with my 119 service charge, maybe it's 199. If you go
Yeah.
outside of it, maybe.
And you are in a more rural area, and if they take it, then they take it. If they don't, it's no loss off your back. It
Yeah,
really isn't.
I don't really
We
care if I go or not, but if
Because
I do,
because that also went into us. On both my office help and service detectives, once phone books went away, we very rarely ever spent any advertising dollars. Very
yeah,
rarely with either business. Now with my office help, we are doing expos. That's it. Which that is a huge chunk in itself, but we don't do any Google advertising. We don't do Facebook advertising. We have done some Facebook advertising for hiring, but there's still very, a $20 spend here and there. But we never did with service detectives either. Once we got out of the phone books, it really truly was word of mouth. And Facebook, taking advantage of Facebook pages, and
groups.
Facebook's been huge for my office help, and it really truly was with it what it was with service detectives. Also, we were in every single county or town page, and as soon as someone said electrician, we had people tagging us, and we were there to respond to
Mhm.
every single one of those. Um, and even that, we were still. Um, 30 our last full year that we did, we were still only 30% repeat customer. So other 70% were coming from somewhere, which we did track all that. But people were still finding us on Google, even though we weren't advertising, we weren't paying Google.
Mhm. Yeah. We
so
we do appear in the Google rankings in our area. But so it is possible to organically rank in Google without paying for advertising in Google.
it's actually encouraged. And if you need help in that, of course, you can go to itdwebdesign.com. Our very own in-house Mike Carson does the SEO. He's got me ranked in several areas. Uh, the initial time period was about a month or two before I just that third month doubled my gross income right away. So
He does amazing websites too. I
yes,
love our website.
so sticking to the script now. We got
Back
a
to
little
the script.
derailed, but that was fun. Jenny has a hard stop today. Let's talk about the expenses to close it up. Everybody knows the labor cost, the insurances, right? The fuel, the parts cost. What are some of the sneaky ones that you guys have seen uh, that people don't really realize that they're paying, and it could be stealing some of their profit?
I
I
would
would
say.
say subscriptions.
I was going to say the same thing, Shayna. Yes.
Subscriptions. A lot of us run a lot of our subscriptions through the company, and we don't actually really truly know how much we are paying because it's just $10 for this one and $20 for this one. But there's also all these business subscriptions that we sign up for and then we forget to turn them off. You got some um, mentoring person that wants you to pay $20 a month and you sign up for it and then you don't turn it off. That is a huge one. Huge.
My
Sorry, I stole Jenny's thunder.
my subscription that I failed on was car wash. I love the car wash subscription idea. And I
Mhm.
even negotiated because I brought in 6 vehicles, and I got each one for $20 a month.
Yeah.
But then I went to add a new truck, and I was like, "Hey, could you check out what's on my account?" And there was 4 vehicles still that I was paying for. That's $80 a month, and the oldest one that I hadn't been using anymore was 10 months.
Wow.
That's you know anything from 2 to 10 months. I've been paying $20 a month. Like, I think I could find a few places to put that extra $100.
Well, I actually had that thought last night because we have a subscription on all of ours. I think ours is like 25 or maybe almost $30 a vehicle. And my Jason takes our van and his truck through it all the time. Like it pays for it. My car, on the other hand, it's lucky to make it over there once a month. And not worth it's not worth it. Why am I doing I was thinking about that last night as I actually went through the car wash for the first time in probably a month and a half, 2 months. Like, we're wasting money on it. Like, why am I not paying it as I go? Because at that point, you know, so
So what else, Jenny?
Interest, I think, is a really big one. If you have credit
late
cards
fees.
or contracts with parts or places that are charging you interest, we talked about Dave Ramsey earlier. Take a look at his technique is looking at the lowest balance items and getting rid of those, and then paying what you were paying on that, adding that to the next thing in a snowball technique. So he talks about that for personal finances, but there's no reason you can't apply that same principle to your business and knock out some of that interest bearing stuff.
Yeah. Shayna?
Well, I was, tagging on that is not just interest, but any kind of bank fees, ATM
Yeah.
fees, late fees, overdraft fees.
I
Yeah,
think
it can all add
even
up. It's just $10, right?
even negotiating lower fees for your bank transactions, like when we switched from, I think we were using Clover with our bank and we switched to iWallet, and that was a savings. So you can look into, and I don't know if there's somewhere cheap. There might even be somebody cheaper than iWallet right now, but it's worth looking at what kind of rates people are offering for their credit card transaction fees and things like that.
We
There's
went from 3.59 to 2.4 with iWallet.
That's huge. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean that's
No,
a lot of money.
one of the things, though, to consider when you're moving stuff like that, because EJ, I know you were talking about the 3.5 inside of your CRM versus the 2.9 with iWallet, is one of the things to consider when you move out of everything being under one umbrella is how much more time is being put in. And if there's not that much more time being put in to go through iWallet, then it's worth it, right? But there
Mhm.
are some things that you can do to you try to piece it out because this over here is cheaper, but really truly the time aspect makes it not actually truly
Mhm.
cheaper. So
Yeah,
taking that into consideration.
that's good. Uh, we talked about customer acquisition cost. That's your advertising. Uh, a lot of people spend way more than they think they need to uh, because they have bad advertising or bad marketing.
Mhm.
You're putting money into marketing that doesn't work. And you don't even know it ain't working because you're throwing a bunch of money at a bunch of different ads, different places, lead gen, and you can't close or convert these leads. Uh, we talked about Jenny. You just made a move this past week. You shared in the mastermind. You had done the analysis of the phone calls that were coming in and how many phone calls were calling for parts that you don't offer
Mhm.
or services you don't offer, uh, or service areas that you don't offer. And you made some changes to help
Mhm.
maximize the efficiency of Shelby's time.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that we changed really quickly was just to put a little page on our website that said, these are our favorite referral, other businesses that we refer to. And it just gives somebody a chance to find that information before they call us and ask us. And then we actually added a parts line to our business now. So people can call the parts line and order through Marcone, and then
Shout
we
out to
can
Mark
provide
Cohn.
that. Yeah, we can provide that service. So that's been just something exciting. As soon as I put the referral list there and referred parts sales somewhere else, we realized that we could incorporate that and offer it through that line for us. So yeah, it was interesting to look at the conversion rate and think, okay, and ask Shelby, like, why, if we're not converting a call into a service call, what other questions are they asking, and what kind of calls can we kind of get rid of on the front end to maximize their time on the phone, right? So we'll see.
So, lastly, I want to cover. I'm going to hand this one to Shayna.
Mm.
Is efficiencies in your business. Uh, what type of services? Your close rates, uh, conversions. What uh, what do you know about that being in the phone center? Sorry, I didn't say call center, but on the phone side and the electrical service side. What have you seen in that?
Well, as far as conversion rates, someone calling in, um, we never we never allowed anybody to work for us ever that couldn't get at least 85% or higher, and that includes answering services. Because we did used to use them to back me up and to book calls and for after hour calls. Their call conversion, we never could get any higher than 65%. So you think about all the calls that they lost due to the fact that they screwed up, right? And team members are the same way. Like you need to train them and teach them. My team, um, on average, hits, I think it was 93% as
Wow.
far as any bookable call. 93% of them gets booked, and that's across the board with all of the different types of industries that we service. And if they don't, if they get, we do have a green area, a yellow area, and a red area. When they start hitting that, if they're hitting that yellow area, we're watching them. If they get close to that red area, we're, of course, what do we need to do to train? They're listening to calls to see what's going wrong on those calls. So that's on the phone side of things. Um, on the technician side of things, um, Jason, gosh, what was his booking rate? It was in the low 90s, I believe, and that was anything above a dispatch fee. So the dispatch fee is only got him out there. It did for us, it did not include a diagnostic. So everything above that, did he sell anything else? Did he educate them and get them to move on anything else? And most electrical like even at the time, especially the last 2 3 years, I'm not sure what the average is right now, what they're saying the average is, but the average electrician was anywhere from $500 to $700 average ticket, and Jason's was always consistently at $1,200 at that point. So, but we never could. Most technicians that we hired in was more in that $700 to $800. We rarely could ever get them over $1,000. So, knowing your industry and even like commercial versus residential, those average tickets can change based off of the types of services. Even putting, sealed systems in there that can actually, you get a technician that's doing sealed systems, his average ticket will be definitely much higher than ones that don't. So,
So beyond just pricing, and we'll close with this because Jenny's got to go. Close rate, conversion rate on the phone is important, but conversion rate in the field is so much more. The phones should set you up for success.
right.
The CSR screens the call, gets all the information so that you can come in prepared and ready to go. And hopefully they start that relationship building that you can carry over and they already feel good about you. So
Yep.
I like to say that we're in service. So when they call us, they want our service.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to just pay you to tell them bad news.
Right.
So find something that you can do to serve them because that's what they want.
Mm-hmm.
You're not selling them stuff they don't need or don't want. Offer them what they called you for and find a way to solve their problem. If you don't, spend some more time with them and figure out what you can do. Maybe it's just advice and you take your fee and go. But I like to spend that extra time. So if you can find services that you provide that can benefit them, not that you can do to them, but that you can do for them,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to win and you're going to close more and you're going to find a lot more profit. So if you can find ways to increase your income by these different things and decrease your spending in areas that don't work out, you're going to have more profit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Anything else, girl?
The only thing that pops in my mind was just routing. So making sure you're not wasting time on having a crappy route and bouncing back and forth, wasting gas and time. So you can't fit an extra call in if it comes in. So
Yep.
and that's another little efficiency thing for scheduling.
So for more coaching and advice and mentoring for efficiencies, see Ginny at outcomeacademy.com. Okay. If you're still answering your phones behind refrigerators or calling people back a couple hours later, and you're missing the appointments because you forgot where you were supposed to go, check out Shayna at My Office Help. They really helped me elevate my business to the next level. And they really do set me and my guys up for success. When we come in, they already know that we're not there to take advantage of them. They know that we care because this ain't just a call center that don't know you or don't care about you and your customers. And of course, servicealliancegroup.com. We have all of the resources that you need. And if we don't, we point to any of these people over here that do, and many more. So check out servicealliancegroup.com. And of course, we got the mastermind coming up Saturday. We'll be doing Elevation Hour tonight, the preview to 5 Steps to 5 Stars. And then Saturday, we'll be talking a little more in depth about that, and we'll have a little workshop. So if you want to be part of that, you have to be an all-access member at servicealliancegroup.com. For now, we're going to go to work, and we'll see you next week if you're not on tonight or Saturday. And Zach will be on with Miss Ward tomorrow for Freestyle Friday. Have a great
Awesome.
day, guys.
Take care.